Hello and welcome back. I'm Randy Buehler here with Matt Elias. We are in round number 8 of the Legacy Champs here at Eternal Weekend. Mike Herbig is on the right of your screen, resolving a preordain. Yeah, I thought it was a ponder, but it's not a ponder. It's a preordain off of a snow-covered island. Everybody's got to show their flavor a little bit. Basic planes from Max Ansbro and Sensei's Divining Top. So Max has got basically Countertop, which has evolved into a miracle deck these days.
Correct.
He's going to play Sensei's Divining Top. He can manipulate the top of his library. If he gets counterbalance, he can counter 1s and 2s easily. 3s and 4s with a little more effort. Mike Herbig playing the deck I've been saying I would have played if I was running this tournament. He's playing Omni-Tell. So run people through it. What's the Omni-Tell combo?
So it's sort of an alternate show and tell deck. Unlike Sneak and Show, this deck to me is just it's a crazy deck. Max is out on cantrips. You got Preordains, Ponders, and Brainstorms. You're basically trying to show and tell out an Omniscience. Lets you cast whatever you want for free.
Right. Yeah, Omniscience is all of your spells are free.
Right.
Just play them. No mana required. All your spells are free. And the spell that you really want to cast once you get Omniscience out
is Enter the Infinite.
Enter the Infinite. Once you have all the knowledge of all the planes, draw it. Right? Draw your entire library. You put 1 card back on top of your library after Enter the Infinite. And then it's whatever, right? Now, you can kind of build the deck to win with anything. The card that people have chosen to win with is hilarious to me. It is Release the Ants. It's in the sideboard. You go get it with a Cunning Wish. Release the Ants says 1 damage to target creature or player, and then Clash. If you win the Clash, pick it up. You get it back.
Right.
So you essentially put, Emrakul or Enter the Infinite or whatever. Most people can't win a Clash versus a 12 drop, much less a 15. So you cast it 20 times. It's hilarious to me that seems to be the most efficient kill card. Just 1 card in the sideboard to Cunning Wish for.
Yeah, I mean, you can actually draw your entire deck, and I think Sapphire Charm them to make sure that the way is clear for you to start clashing. So, and the deck also has Dream Halls as kind of a backup plan. So.
Right. I mean, the Sneak and Show deck has been the most popular show and tell deck, and it's got a lot of redundancy because in addition to being able to sneak out an Emrakul or a Grizzlebrand, you can also, in addition to being able to show them out with show and tell, you can sneak them out with sneak attacks. You kind of have this redundancy where you've got 8 fatties and 8 ways to cheat them into play. The Omni-Tell deck also has this redundancy, right? You're not really using show and tell as your kill card. You're using it to sneak Omniscience into play. Right. But you can also do that with Dream Halls.
Right.
So you've got sort of this redundant 8 cards that can get your Omniscience into play. And you know what? If you don't have Omniscience, if you Dream Halls to cast Enter the Infinite, that's going to be good enough anyway.
Yeah, it'll still probably win the game.
Right. Dream Halls is kind of the backup for both halves. So maybe it's a 2.5 card combo, but it wins on the spot, which Sneak and Show does not do. Sneak and Show often does its thing, and then they still have 3 life points left, and you're out of gas. So it wins on the spot. It's also got 11 basic islands.
Yep, and it wins without attacking. It does not need to
Don't need the attack
creatures.
phase. Don't need to say go. I just do my thing and then deal damage. I mean, if you've got Leyline of Sanctity or something, I can cast Emrakul. And you know what? With Omniscience, you're actually casting him, so you get the Time Walk turn.
Right.
Yeah, anyway, very resilient deck. It's probably the slowest of the Legacy combo decks, right? It's not, I mean, Charbelcher's obviously the fastest style deck.
Yeah,
Sneak and Show's faster.
It's in that high tide sort of area. It is,
right,
yeah,
right.
Absolutely. It also has an Intuition in the sideboard, which I love. So you have those 3 Cunning Wishes.
Right.
You can go get your Intuition and tutor up whatever you need. It's a really elegantly designed deck. Compared to the previous Countertop deck or Miracle deck that we saw earlier, this deck is very similar. It is running Pyroclasm in the main deck, which will not be particularly helpful.
Oh, main deck Pyroclasm.
Yeah, main deck Pyroclasm.
Really?
Yep, 2 main deck Pyroclasm.
Wow. Right, so this is a 3-color Countertop.
Yep.
Previous one we saw was just 2 colors?
I believe so. He's got Rebs and Pyroclasm in the board. Certainly in the main deck, that the other one had the Volcanic was just for, Engineered Explosives or whatever.
Here comes Show and Tell. Omni-Tell has done nothing but cast, library manipulation. Now it's turn 3. How do you feel about Show and Tell?
As far as if it's good or bad for the format?
I was role-playing Mike Herbig. He's clearly asking permission, right? His opponent, he sees islands, he sees Divining Top. He knows his opponent has permission.
This is going to be a battle on the stack here.
Probably. So Flusterstorm counters that twice.
Yeah, Flusterstorm is a good way to win a battle on the stack.
And I think Max has a counterbalance in his hand too.
Wow, that was his one Flusterstorm in his main deck.
Yeah, he declined to cast counterbalance. He's looking at opposing islands, so he doesn't want to run it into a counter too easily. And he, because of the basic planes, he couldn't counterbalance with Flusterstorm backup. So yeah, he just left out Flusterstorm, and this was perfect from Max Ansbro's point of view. He gets the Flusterstorm to stop any shenanigans. Now he's going to be able to untap and play counterbalance, I would think.
Yeah. Yeah, the Flusterstorm is tough there because, you know, you're...
Yeah, you can't even force a will to defend your show and tell. Yeah, he has a backup show and tell. He did have force of will. He did have force of will, so, but I don't know if he would have fought over that one or if it was just bait. And he might have declined. He might be planning to fight over the next one instead. Yeah, does Max play counterbalance here? Counterbalance not that great in this matchup. Yeah, he's not gonna. He doesn't want to tap his mana.
Yeah, like he doesn't have anything to counter Enter the Infinite or Omniscience on top of his deck, so...
Yeah, the 1s and 2s, we've kind of left that portion of the game. It's too late to counter the Preordains and the Ponders.
I think he's going for another one here.
Yeah, clearly. And he's got
Dream Halls in his hand. His hand is very good.
Max, is that, yeah, Counterspell.
So that's his 1-of Counterspell.
Wow, he drew the 1 Flusterstorm and the 1 Counterspell. Yeah, he's drawing the permission half of his deck, which is what he wants in this matchup. Now Mike has to decide whether to fight. Looks like Force of Will your Counterspell. And does Max have any more gas? I don't see a Force of Will.
He's got a top. So he can dig. Yeah, he's going to dig for a force.
And if he sees force, he can flip to pick it up.
Nope.
But there's no force there. So looks like show and tell is going to resolve.
All right, so now the show is about to begin.
What did you bring to class? He wants to bring Jace, but Planeswalkers did not exist, so they're not one of the choices.
He's bringing a Venser, it looks like.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Look at that. Look at that.
Targets Omniscience. Mike is going to respond. All his spells are free right now, so he can cast that Cunning Wish while the Omniscience is in play. But can he win on the stack?
He's going to trick bind the Venser's ability.
Wow. Cunning Wish to go get the trick bind from the sideboard.
Look at that, and his last card.
Yeah, last card. Enter the Infinite.
Randy,
you want me to play this out?
This is why
this deck.
This is why people play Legacy. I mean, these are the types of plays that you just...
Yeah, Max is not going to make him go through the motions. Oh, he says, show me the kill card. He shows release the ants from the sideboard, so...
Release the ants, of course.
Of course.
Well, I guess I can't beat that.
I was going to kill you with? I can't beat release the ants.
Yeah, there's just so many of them. I can't possibly get them all.
Wow, haymakers.
What did you say? The almost the entirety of Magic is available to you, and you are winning by clashing with Release the Ants.
There has to be a better card, right? I mean, there doesn't have to be. It's pretty efficient.
It does the job.
It is an instant that can sit in the sideboard of a Cunning Wish shell, and then kill on the spot. Like, it's gonna be hard to do better than that.
I'd love to be the guy that discovered that. You know?
Right.
I know what card we need. It's Release the Ants. And people are going, yeah, okay. No, really, trust me, I got to show you this. So... Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, both players seemed like they played it really well too.
And my buddy Venser again, sad, just not quite good enough to
Cunning Wish for the trick, and Mike did it immediately, right?
Yeah,
he knew exactly what to do. He's like, oh, Venser, like we're both, oh, Venser, this is gonna mess him up, isn't it? Nope, Cunning Wish is free for now.
He said, I let you resolve your 1-of Flusterstorm. I'll let you resolve your 1-of Counterspell. But I draw the line at the 1-of Venser. I mean, I have something to say about that.
He can watch. He can watch while the ants fly by.
You know, you don't clean up the crumbs, the ants come out.
So what happens after sideboarding in this match?
What happened before sideboarding? These are crazy decks. I mean, you got red Elemental Blaster coming in for sure. No doubt about that.
From the countertop
from the countertop deck, there's another Force of Will, there's another Flusterstorm, there's an Aethersworn Canonist, and a Venser. So he's got some action there.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, he's got a lot of stuff in his main that he doesn't need. Swords to Plowshares, Pyroclasm, Terminus, probably not that good.
It's pretty effective. Yeah, the Miracles deck definitely gets better here after sideboarding. It's basically half a dozen creature kill spells out, half a dozen counters in.
I think on the other side, you're probably seeing Defense Grid come in and probably call it a day.
3 Defense Grid is pretty nice. There's no hand destruction, right?
No.
Yeah, Leyline of Sanctity is sitting as a 4 of in the Omni-Tell sideboard to basically fight anybody who's going to show up with Thought Seizes and Cabal Therapy.
I mean, Max has a ton of counterspells in his sideboard. He has two Misdirection, 2 Red Elemental Blast, Force of Will, Flusterstorm, and Devenser if you count him, plus the Canonist, which comes in for sure. Yeah. So he's got a lot of counters to bring in here.
Yeah, Michael is going to go 3 defense grid, period, the end. But I mean, look, if you're running a Cunning Wish deck, you don't get a lot of sideboard space.
Right.
Right? I mean, there's basically 6 spots are sitting there to be for Cunning Wish targets. And then 7 cards are the real sideboard. 4 Leyline of Sanctity, 3 defense grid.
Yeah, so his wish targets are Intuition, Slaughter Pact, Trickbind, Rushing River, Release the Ants, Pact of Negation, Sapphire Charm, and the Elmary's Call, which is...
It can go get
great.
the Emrakul.
Yeah, just get the... Hey, I'm just going to get this and kill you with Emrakul.
Right. Well, if you don't have Enter the Infinite, but you have Cunning Wish, like you resolve Omniscience, you're like, I'll go get the Elmary's Call, I'll go get the Emrakul, I'll cast the Emrakul. Who needs to enter the Infinite? I don't need to draw my deck. Yeah, all I need is this Cunning Wish.
The pieces of this is a very elegantly designed deck. I think that may be one of the reasons why I think you like it so much. It's just it's really just an elegant design.
The other thing is that it's really hard to interact with. Like, we've been watching these Delver decks all day, and they're, Wasteland this and Stifle that, and this deck doesn't give you anything to interact. Abrupt Decay, like there's all, Wasteland and Abrupt Decay do absolutely nothing about this deck, and those are just staples of the format. There's 8 cards that are in a bunch of deck lists that are literally dead.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it just feels like if people are going to fill their decks with that kind of junk, like, let me just play this. I'll play basic islands and spells that cost, none of my permanents cost 3 or less.
The only potential downfall of the deck, similar to when you debate sort of ad nauseum tendrils against the Epic Storm, is you're probably a turn and a half slower.
Yeah.
And you have those games where you kind of just are dirtling around playing Preordain after Brainstorm after Ponder after Preordain, and you just don't find what you need before you lose.
Fair. Yeah, but I mean, I think you're fast enough to win a race against almost anybody. It's only when you can't find. All right, well, we're off to the races. Divining Top for Max. Islands for Mike. And I did see a defense grid in his hand, but he's declining to run it out into 2 untapped blue mana.
He's in no rush to really do anything.
Right, and he saw Counterspell. Like, he doesn't know the deck list. He doesn't know that was a 1-of Counterspell.
Right.
Like, there is some number of good old-fashioned counterspells.
Now Max has, what, Flusterstorm, Misdirection, and Force of Will, it looks like. Plus a top.
There's a Show and Tell off this Brainstorm. Preordain. He's got the fetch land to shuffle. Looks like he's got plenty of lands. I think he's putting 2 islands back.
The other nice thing about, if you're going to be a combo deck, this deck, the Omni-Tell, it doesn't really expend a ton of resources as it's trying to do its stuff. It's just kind of, playing these 1-of giant haymakers, whereas like your Storm deck that has to,
right, you're all in.
You're running out 6 cards in a row, and then if they have a counter, you have nothing left.
Right. Yeah, there's kind of a spectrum of speed, right? You can have the all-in decks like a Charbelcher deck, and this is sort of on the resilient but slower side of the spectrum. I think it's Karsten Cotter. Is that the guy that did a good Star City article on those?
Yeah. He wrote a terrific article probably 2 or 3 weeks ago about kind of running through the spectrum of combo decks and approximately what turn they win.
Right, and he's got an article specifically contrasting the Storm decks and then the Show and Tell decks.
Yeah.
Like, he's got a nice series. If you do care about these decks, that's definitely... He was the guy that turned me on to this deck, for sure. Yeah,
definitely a great one to read before the Grand Prix in a couple weeks if you're going. These are decks that you need to know how they work.
Right. All right, so a Preordain, a Ponder, a reshuffle off the Ponder. Yeah, Mike is content to just hang out and sculpt his hand. He's not going to run that defense grid out until he's got something else to do. Turns out, it would be kind of awkward for Max. I think he'd have to force it.
Yeah.
You can't Flusterstorm an artifact. So he would probably have to force a will it.
His hand is okay. I mean, that Entreat the Angels is like something he doesn't want to play for 15 turns, and then he has sort of some conditional counters and a force. Certainly nothing that's applying any pressure.
Yeah. And he's got top with fetch land, which is kind of nice.
And as you noted, I mean, this deck, sure, counterbalance top shuts your cantrips down early in the game, but
No, it's true. That's another nice thing about this Omni-Tell deck is that, you know, most people counterbalance counters their entire deck, and here it doesn't counter anything relevant.
It's a big advantage.
All right, so he is cracking the fetch land. Does not. He had a Jace, was about the only relevant card that was floating around the top. But I mean, he doesn't really want to turn 4 tap out for Jace, because
no,
I don't think he would get to untap. He certainly doesn't think he would get to untap. All right, so crack the fetch land.
That's
now look at the
pretty
next
good.
3. Red blast, fetch land.
Yeah, that's pretty good. When your opponent's a mono blue combo deck, you can never have enough revs.
He put the fetch land on top. So he's floating the revs, which means he doesn't really want to crack fetch land here. He can flip the top to get a red blast if he needs it. And yeah, he's sitting on... Now, does Mike need to go for it before Hardcast Force of Will becomes a thing? Or go for the defense grid fight anyway? He's brainstorming.
So he has
defense grid, he has Force of Will, he has Show and Tell.
He's got a bunch of the pieces.
Yeah. He's got multiple Show and Tells. Is that Omniscience?
I think it is.
But not Enter the Infinite? Or has he got... I think it's 2 Omnisciences. I'm not sure. I don't know the art on these cards all that well. Alright, so cracks the fetch land after the brainstorm. What did he actually put back? I was looking away.
Oh, I didn't see. Mike doing a great job, really just sculpting the exact hand that he wants, though, for when he's gonna go for it.
Maybe not. He's still got preordain. He's not done sculpting.
Yeah, he's just all the opportunity in the world here to
Force of Will and is that Stifle? No, he doesn't run Stifle, does he?
I think that was one of his big mana spells.
Oh, is that the Enter the Infinite? Yeah, I believe.
Yeah, Mike really wants that. He really wants that defense grid to resolve. I don't know that he knows that, but he really...
He does not seem to be in a hurry.
So he's got a Force.
Yeah, so he bottoms the Force and draws the card we think might be Enter the Infinite.
I think the combo piece.
Says go. So still not ready to go for defense grid. So he's going to go next turn 5th. Does he have a 5th land? He's put some of his land back. He may not have a 5th land yet. Because he could go defense grid, fight, you know, you either counter it and tap yourself out, maybe I force back, but then he wants to go 5th land Show and Tell after the defense grid, but I don't think he has the 5th land.
Deck also has the ability to just Cunning Wish for Pactum Negation and give him another free counter as he tries to go off.
Fair, but all right, back up top. I think there's Misdirection in Max's hand?
Yes. Misdirection, Force, Flusterstorm, Rev.
Yeah, I wonder if Mike put back one too many lands.
It's basically...
He brainstormed some land back in.
Yeah, it's basically... Max basically just has a handful of counters and an Entreat the Angels.
Right.
Mike with basically his entire combo with a little bit of counter backup, but...
Yeah, but he hasn't gone for defense grid.
Wanting to get that defense grid out.
5th land, this turn would be so much easier with a 5th land. You'd lead defense grid, force the first counter. Maybe you win the defense grid fight, maybe you don't, but then you Show and Tell.
Yeah.
But yeah, with no 5th land, it doesn't work. Is he at 8 cards?
Yeah,
yeah, he's at 8 cards.
It's awkward knowing that he did that much sculpting and...
Well, he chose to put lands back a couple turns ago. I mean, he's not going to discard. He has to start the defense grid fight.
He's going to run it out.
He's not going to get to Show and Tell after the fight.
So
Max has
to force it. He has no other...
Right,
that's the awkward thing is, he has to lead with the Force of Will.
Right.
He can protect the Force of Will like nobody's business.
Right.
But he has to use the Force of Will.
He pitched Misdirection. I don't think he had a second blue card anyway, right? Yeah, he kept Flusterstorm and Red Blast. So it seems correct to pitch Misdirection.
Yeah. And he just lets it go.
Yeah, Mike is not interested in fighting there. Not against Untapped Island, Untapped Volcanic. There's the second Red Blast. Only the 1 red mana, but there's a fetch land. So he's probably going to draw the Red Blast.
I would think so.
So now both Red Blasts are in hand.
Now they're live, yeah.
Now he can crack the fetch land to reshuffle and He's on Flusterstorm, Red Blast, Red Blast. So a bunch of very relevant permission spells. He just doesn't have any action. The fact that Mike ran out of land is the problem. Like, Mike is kind of sort of forced to start doing things because otherwise he's discarding. Oh, Max is going to flip his top. So he wants to shuffle that away with his fetch land.
You don't need the no reason to keep the other one.
Island, yeah. So now he gets 5th land. Totally makes sense. What does Mike do?
There's a
All right,
land.
Island. That's good news. He's no longer on the hook to play a spell or discard. So we can say go here. Does he have 2 show and tells? Or did he put one back? I think he only has the one. I think he put the other one back. So he's going to start a fight over show and tell.
Yeah, this is a fight he's not going to win.
He's going to lose this fight. Max is going to go ahead and get Volcanic Island now.
So Mike's deck has...
So Mike has Force of Will that he can defend this with. Does he have a Flusterstorm in his hand?
I believe... I can't tell.
I think he does.
If he has one, or if it's a big mana card. I think it might be.
I think he has one Flusterstorm. So
if he does, the sequencing for Max becomes very important.
Right. Right. So you force, and then you Flusterstorm, and you get to point a bunch of You get to Flusterstorm everything that's there.
Yeah, Flusterstorm tends to just end those counter wars. It's the...
Right, so, all right. Well, Max is still responding to the show and tell. He cracked a fetch land. He's looked at the top with his divining top, and now he's going to point a red blast at show and tell. Fair enough. Mike, what are you going to do? I think Force of Will is the play?
Yeah, he definitely has a duplicate there.
Right, so Force of Will targets the red blast, removes a card. 3 spells for the turn for anybody counting. Now we get another. There's a red blast and a Flusterstorm left on Max's side. Yeah. Wow, so Flusterstorm's going to get Flusterstorm. Is that how this plays out? You red blast the Force, right?
Yes.
Wow, you red blast. No, he red blasts the show and tell. So he's willing to let the Force resolve. And now Mike, I believe, has a Flusterstorm, but so does Max. It's hard to counter a Flusterstorm, but the one card that can do it is Flusterstorm.
This is another great sort of on the stack battle here.
I mean, is the ability to pay for the Flusterstorm going to be relevant here?
No, I don't think so.
All right, here comes Flusterstorm. He's countering the red blast that's targeting show and tell. Presumably he countered it all 4 times?
Yes.
Or 5 times? 5 times. Those are copies of Flusterstorm. Let us build the stack. Yes, there are now 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 things on the stack. 5 of them are counters targeting that red blast. The Force of Will is countering the first red blast. So Max clearly wants to defend himself. Oh, what did he have on top? I didn't see what he had on top. So he flips the top for the top card, which is a Spell Pierce, which he can point at the show and tell. Wow, which Mike can no longer pay for. Awkward. That's good enough.
Yeah,
he gets to hold on to his Flusterstorm.
That was well played. He doesn't even need the Flusterstorm. Oh, well.
All right, so
look at that.
Flusterstorm counters Red Blast 5 times, but Spell Pierce counters the show and tell because Mike doesn't have the land to pay for it. And there we go. Mike forced to ship the turn back to Max, who is now down, to be fair, down to a Flusterstorm against Mike's hand, and an Entreat the Angels, sure. Redraws his top and plays it. Is he going to look? Mike's hand, on the other hand, it's an Omniscience and Enter the Infinite and
Cunning Wish.
And a Cunning Wish. So
and his deck has the ability to just draw Dream Halls, to just draw.
Right, Dream Halls is good enough.
Yeah.
Show and Tell is good enough if he can resolve it. Does he Cunning Wish here? Cunning Wish for an Intuition is an option.
It'd be he may.
There's Counterbalance. which we've talked about,
See if he
doesn't
responds.
counter a lot of things. I mean, I guess Entreat the Angels is floating around to counter 3s. Countering a 3 is relevant. If you can come up with a 3-mana card, that is quite relevant.
He may.
Not a deal
he's
breaker.
thinking about wishing in response, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, he's looking, he can wish, but I mean, if he wishes for Intuition, it's still a 3. He can wish for Rushing River. Just bounce his way out of it. That doesn't seem super relevant.
No, I mean, Intuition is potentially terrific because he's going to be on 6 mana next turn. Right? I think he has a fetch in his
He does
hand.
have a fetch. Yeah, so Cunning Wish is a response to counterbalance.
Now Max can counter if he wants.
True.
So that's
Well, he can
spell 2. So
he can Fluster Storm for 3,
right,
which
and
will get it done.
Yep.
Do you want to counter the Cunning Wish?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, you'd rather counter the thing he's getting with it, in theory. Is he looking at Pact of Negation?
Yeah, he can pay for it. That's an interesting call.
All right, so he wants to fight over counterbalance. It's relevant enough for Mike to fight over. I mean, the ability to counter 3s does seem relevant. It's not easy to counter 3s, but
Yeah, I'm
Entreat the Angel
a
will
little
get it done.
surprised that he's fighting that hard over it, but
I am too. A little.
I mean, knowing that he hasn't,
Right, Cunning Wish has resolved. It's no longer on the stack.
knowing
Pact.
that,
Go ahead.
knowing that he hasn't played any Dream Halls yet, right? They're all 3 are in his deck. They play 3, right? They play 3 Dream Halls. So if he gets Intuition, I mean, you can counter 5s with Force of Will on top, but you have a reasonably
true.
good chance of just
Yeah, he can
sticking
counter
to
the
Dream
5s.
Halls. But
He can counter the 3s and the 5s with the right stuff, and I don't think Mike wants to get in that fight. It means he's not using the Cunning Wish to get a threat, so I mean, he's sort of putting them both in top deck mode
right.
rather than going for it. Pays for the Pact, of course. And draws a Brainstorm for next turn. So he's got a fetch land. He's got a Brainstorm.
Yeah, so
Might
fetch
as well
go.
play it.
So what does Max have?
Is that Counterspell?
It may have.
I think I saw he's got like a...
It may have been a Vendilion Click.
Is that like a Mercadian Masks Counterspell?
I think he drew Vendilion Click. Yeah, so upkeep click, or draw step click here.
Yep, draw step click. Which Mike can Brainstorm his response to. But he's going to hard cast Force
saying
Will.
no.
No, I like it. That seems like a good play.
Stay away from my combo.
Yep.
So now he.
And it's a 1-for-1 trade, right?
Fluster
He
Storm
doesn't
right
want a
through that.
3-power attacker either.
See, but this is fine.
And he was going to have to fight through that Fluster Storm at some point.
Yeah.
I don't think he's happy, so he chose not to crack fetch and hide and or Brainstorm and or hide anything. He's just willing to reveal this hand. So that is an Omniscience, an Enter the Infinite, and a Brainstorm.
Yeah, so he's got the sort of combo pieces.
Right, he just needs an enabler. If he can get Omniscience into play, he'll win on the spot. He has 7 cards in his deck that can get Omniscience into play, one of which has been countered so far. So that was the Omniscience? No, that was the Enter the Infinite.
Yes. I don't know if that's.
No, it's the wrong card.
I don't know if that's
You,
right.
you take the Omniscience. Well, I guess Dream Halls will enable either of them?
Yeah.
I mean, Dream Halls enables either.
But show if
This
he
way,
has
Show and Tell doesn't win without the Enter the Infinite. Show and Tell would get the Omniscience onto the table, but not win on the spot. But Show and Tell doesn't do anything against an Enter the Infinite hand either.
Right.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't matter a lot either way, I guess. Because like Dream Halls backs up both halves of the combo. Well, here's Counterbalance again. So now there's a 3-power attacker. That's the other reason Mike wanted to fight. Is now there's a clock.
So does he have a Dream Halls in his hand?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, this could get interesting.
Indeed.
Counterbalance, top, and click out. Mike, pretty close to going for this combo if he
14.
wants.
So he drew Dream Halls and chose not to cast it because he wants to Brainstorm first.
I don't know. I mean, his brainstorm is.
Brainstorm
potentially
is
dead now.
Oh, because of the Counterbalance top, yeah. I mean, it's a card that you can use to pitch something for Dream Halls.
So he's got another.
Drew a Cunning Wish. Yeah, there is.
Yeah, Yeah, he's got that awkward, ugly-looking counterspell in his hand, just waiting.
It's got to be the worst counterspell art of all time, right? Yeah. Maybe it's just negative associations with its Max's block, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
It's not the best block of Magic that's ever been made.
Not Magic's proudest moment. There are worse moments, but definitely not its proudest.
I got to skip that set.
Yeah.
Like, I left the Pro Tour to join Wizards of the Coast right after the Mercadian Masks pre-release, and then immediately started working on Invasion development. So it's like I just skipped that block.
I
moved forward a year in time.
Invasion's actually the set that got me back into the game. So
yeah, I was pretty happy with that one.
Yeah, it was a nice one.
All right, Mike trying to figure out when to go for it. That's essentially what he's doing. He doesn't have to go for it right away, but there's a clock, so he's got to go for it soon. He did draw Cunning Wish.
The other thing is that, I mean, if he finds another Entreat the Angels at the right time, he can just end the game. You know, if he sees an Entreat the Angels sitting on top of his deck, what Mike thinks is...
Well, now he can counter 3s, but
yeah,
Dreamhall's still fine. Mike's more worried about a 5, honestly.
Well, but I'm saying the Entreat the Angels could just end the game. So you look at it and say, oh well, Vanilla Click, I have X turns left.
Sure. All right, here's a Cunning Wish. I believe we're on max. Where are we?
Oh, he's got a Force on top.
Oh, wow. Now, he could. What's the other card? Is that it's
Fetch
land
and a top?
Yeah. So he's not going to be able to counter the Cunning Wish. Presumably, he put the Force on top where he can flip the top forward if he needs to.
So here's that play we've been talking about. He's going for Intuition, it looks like.
Well, he knows 3s will resolve. That's good news. His problem is that Force of Will is going to counter his Dream Halls. Right?
Well, he can get... So what's he going to Intuition for?
Could be Show and Tells. He knows 3 is live. Yeah, he knows 3's live because otherwise the Cunning Wish would have gotten countered.
He can totally
Intuition for Show and Tell.
He can get... How many Force of Wills does he have left?
Well, he can't force the counterbalance activation.
Right.
Is that the Trick Bind? I'm not up on my obscure blue card art. All right, so he's got to get the replacement Enter the Infinites. Right, Enter the Infinite is the card that got clicked away, so he goes to get 3 Enter the Infinites. He's going to get 1. Great. So now if he can resolve Omniscience or Dream Halls, then he gets to Enter the Infinite and essentially win the game.
Draw all the cards.
Right. I mean, that's essentially his victory condition. He needs to enable Enter the Infinite and then resolve it, and then he wins. So seems like it's time to go for it.
I mean, we're really seeing the effects of Max sideboarding there, taking out all these dead removal spells and just bringing in a million counterspells.
Red Blast, Flusterstorm, just millions.
Misdirection, all that stuff out of the board.
Right. Makes this matchup harder for sure. Which still feels like a fair fight.
Yeah.
It's just instead of Mike getting the easy win, now it's a fight.
He's got to work for it.
Max is going to top.
Brainstorm, Force of Will, Island.
Oh, so he cracked Fetch and reshuffled? I've lost track of where we are in the game. See, click untap, so presumably it's Max's turn. Yeah, it's Max's. Yep. All that fight was during Max's upkeep, which makes sense.
So he's got Counterspell in hand. He's got
Force of Will on
Force of Will on top, which is right where you want it.
Tough for Mike.
Is that a Flusterstorm?
Yeah, I think that's a Flusterstorm. Force of Will on top is tough to win through here. He does not have a Show and Tell. His enabler is Dream Halls.
Yeah,
he's got to go for Dream Halls, and he's going to get it countered by Force of Will. Are we done? I mean, I guess he's got a turn or two, but that Force of Will is never leaving the top of Max's library.
Yeah, that hurts.
Mike has to just say go, right?
Yeah, he looks like he's kind of agonizing over this.
Max,
I think
I mean, he could brainstorm there, but it doesn't. It can just get countered by top, and although that would put the Force of Will in his hand, which is kind of better in a weird way. Yeah, Max put the Force of Will 2 down so that he could draw brainstorm and leave Force of Will on top to counter any future Dream Halls. Gitaxian Probe. All right, let me see what I'm playing through. Please? Can I see what I'm playing through?
Yeah,
yes, here you go.
Just gonna
I have a counterspell, a brainstorm, and an entreat the angels. The brainstorm lets him counter 3s now. He can brainstorm, put the entreat back on top. So he has the ability to counter 3s and 5s with counterbalance.
He's set up pretty well right now. This is
Yeah, you know what? We were not thinking counterbalance was amazing in this matchup, but I think Mike was right to fight over it. There aren't a lot of 3s and 5s floating around, but Max is in this almost all, and Mike is like, please counter this. Can you flip top onto the top, please?
So he's got post board. He's got 6 5s. He's got those 2 misdirections.
Right. And you know what? Max is just like, brainstorm can resolve. I am not interested in putting my top on top of my library.
Yeah.
I like the top right where it is in play. You can resolve brainstorm. Go ahead.
Yeah, Max's sideboard really coming through for him this game.
Definitely. Yeah, Mike had the defense grid early. If he'd gone for that defense grid, was there a window where he could have resolved it? I mean, his line of play seemed totally reasonable, right?
Yeah.
It's, you know, cantrip, play out lands. He really wanted the defense grid on turn 5 with 5 mana.
Right, and play another spell immediately afterwards.
Yep.
But
so Force of Will, Show and Tell. He can see the brainstorm though. Can he? If he gets 8 land, he can both Show and Tell and
Dream Halls.
Dream Halls. Does that even work though? You brainstorm and then you just move it around with Divine.
He's got, unless he taps awkwardly or something. Yeah, I think he can just shrug all of that off.
I think Max has got this. Like, I don't see the line where Mike can get through all that. I mean, he basically has to get counterbalance off the table somehow. I guess he can. No, Trick Bind doesn't even work, right? Because the counterbalance just triggers again.
Right.
Oh, you can't respond to it. What's that? Oh, the angels also end the turn here?
Well, he can brainstorm, put the entreat on top of his deck, draw it. Well, no. Yeah, it doesn't work.
All right, Mike's down to 4.
He's debating
in theory,
over.
Can say go one more time, but he's going to go ahead and Show and Tell. It's like, do you see the brainstorm play? No, he doesn't brainstorm entreat. He just counterspells.
He's saying, yeah, I don't even need it.
I assume he saw it. Yeah, now you can Flusterstorm.
Yeah, but you just put a top on top, right?
Yeah, but then he draws the Force of Will. I mean, if Max doesn't see the whole brainstorm line, like he should have brainstormed and put the entreat on top. Isn't that just better than playing a counterspell?
Yes.
All right. Sounds like he wants to flip top. Well, wait. So Flusterstorm. There's 3 Flusterstorms.
Yeah, I mean he can.
Oh, but do they all trigger the? All trigger counterbalance?
He can just let them all. He can just let them all counter the counterspell and then just Force of Will to Show and Tell again.
Well, no, he can put the top on top, and each Flusterstorm copy trigger counterbalance?
No, the copies
Only
go
the first
onto
one?
the stack.
Okay.
So he's gonna go just let that go through and then force the Show and Tell.
Right. This is a good turn of events for Mike, though. Force of Will is gone. Counterspell is gone. Brainstorm is gone.
I think he knows what's on top of his deck, though. Doesn't he?
Top is back. He's going to activate the top to draw Caracas.
Oh, now he's going to bounce the Vendilion click and Vendilion click him. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let me see what you got.
He managed to plow through an impressive amount of counter magic.
He did.
There, but doesn't look good enough. He's got Omniscience, he's got Enter the Infinite, he's got Ponder. Yeah, you take the Ponder.
All right,
have
here
him
it
do
is.
one blind draw, force a will.
That's not going to do it. So he is...
It doesn't cost 7.
No!
Yeah, scoop.
Yeah.
That card
I was going to say, I think it's like 9 or something, isn't it?
Yeah. They're 9 and 12, I believe.
I was going to say.
All right, so we're off to game 3. Wonder how much time's left in the round.
Can't be that much.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it can be a ton. I think 10 minutes for them, maybe 7 plus 3.
I mean, that favors Mike for sure.
Yeah, he doesn't need a lot of turns in theory. Yeah, Omniscience is 10 mana. Well, that was Max's sideboard. It was all Max's sideboard. I mean, there were some different lines. So they've got 10 minutes left, which is definitely enough time for Mike to win. It's not clear it's enough time for Max to win.
Yeah, I doubt that it is.
Draw's not terrible for these players. Right, they're sitting on 6-1. They're in round 8 of a 9-round Swiss. Now, what they want to do is win this round and then draw the next one into the top 8.
And then they should be
They're
good.
basically... It's basically a win and in if you can get the draw. So not a clean win and in, but it's probably a win and in. But you get the draw, it just means you have to win next round.
Yeah, it shouldn't eliminate either of them.
Right. They should both be in a position to play to win next round. I haven't taken a close look at the standings, but I mean that's probably how it works out. I'm trying to remember if Mike had 5 land, would Defense Grid Show and Tell have worked? I'm not even sure it would have because he had the Force and then he had the Flusterstorm. I think he would have been able to counter the Show and Tell after fighting over, even after fighting over Defense Grid. He just had so many counters.
It was.
He had the Red Blast. He had the Flusterstorm. Even with the 5th land, I don't think that line works out.
You're right though. The amount of counters that Mike was able to chew through there and still be in a position several points in that game to be 1 card away from going off.
Right.
Really impressive.
Right. Yeah, I don't think counter magic is quite that dense in Max's deck. I think he drew above average amount of it and needed every drop.
Yeah. I mean, he should have 4 Forces, 2 Flusterstorms, a Counterspell, 2 Spell Pierces, 2 Rebs, 2 Misdirections, and 2 Vencers, and 3 Vendilion Clicks. So
that is a lot.
He's got a lot.
You're right. All right, both players keep 7. Here we go, pondering. Show and Tell Island something.
Is that Flusterstorm in his hand?
I think that's Enter the Infinite in the Ponder. I mean, these are relevant cards.
That looked like Show and Tell Cunning Wish.
Oh, Cunning Wish.
Land to me.
Okay. And here's top from Max.
Yeah, so he's got the top counterbalance.
Yeah, he's got counterbalance for next turn, so he's ready to... Certainly can cut off the card drawing spells easily. And with some time, he can start floating relevant cards on top.
Does he have anything to Show and Tell in or no? Doesn't look like
He's got a Force of Will, so he can fight counterbalance here, which I think is what he's going to do. Pitching Cunning Wish. Yeah, he wants to keep his... So he's got Brainstorm, kept 2 Brainstorms, but pitched Cunning Wish. And Max shifts the turn back. Does have Show and Tell, but does not have Omniscience.
Bunch of
so
Brainstorms.
He just says go, and a
Flusterstorm. All the storms.
Caracas into Ether Sworn Canonist.
That is brutal.
And it does not get Flusterstormed. He's got a Brainstorm.
Yeah,
here.
He's got to look for something.
And he pitched his Cunning Wish, which can go get a bounce spell out of the sideboard. So there's Omniscience, right?
Yeah, so...
He can show Omniscience.
He can still combo. It's just going to slow him down, and it means that if he goes for it and Max has a counter back, there's nothing he can do about it.
Yeah, Canonist is not lethal. Especially, I mean, he can in theory go get an Emrakul. If he has Omniscience, Emrakul is free, and it even triggers the Time Walk, unlike in the Sneak and Show decks.
But it makes it take forever.
Yes. Canonist makes it take forever. It might have forever. I mean, what passes forever in Legacy, which is like 5 turns.
Right.
All right, so he brainstorms. Canonist resolves.
Wow.
He's got a fetch land. He's got show and tell. He's got omniscience. Do you try to show and tell here? He's tapped down to 1 mana. You're not allowed to Flusterstorm to defend it, is the bad news. And yeah, Max, I saw at least Force of Will in his hand.
Yeah, I mean, he knows that Max has Rebs, Spell Pierce, Flusterstorm, all live off that island.
What are you going to do?
Off that volcanic island. Well, yeah, you can't just sit there and do nothing.
I'm sure he regrets pitching the Cunning Wish at this point. Because that's, I mean...
It looks like he's going to Brainstorm, and that'll be his turn.
Sure.
See if he can...
Ponder, fetch land. Ponders are not as good with Canonist in play.
No.
He's putting back 1 Ponder and a fetch. Max activates Divining Top. Sees Red Blast.
Yeah, this is... I mean, admittedly, the Canonist takes forever to win by itself.
10 turns.
It's just, yeah, it's 2 damage a turn, but he's got a lot of the tools that he needs to keep Mike at bay here.
Yes, he does. He's got Counterspell, Force of Will, Red Blast, and I think Flusterstorm.
Yeah. I mean, that's
he's
rough.
got 4 counters. 4 cards in his hand. They all counter things. Yeah, Canonist with a handful of permission is pretty hard lock. Maybe not hard, but it's a soft lock that will last a while.
Yes. And he's got the top end of fetch too. I mean, he's going to be able to see. Again, Mike's got a lot of counter spells to chew through if he wants to do anything here.
Right.
And he can only play 1 card a turn.
Right.
And when your deck has max Brainstorm, max Preordain, and max Ponder, you are not hoping to just play 1 card a turn.
Canonist gets in for another 2.
Legacy players, that is time in the round. Active player finishes
Preordain.
5 additional turns. Again, legacy players, that is time in the
So
round.
time in the round has been called, but I think they have a time extension, 4 minutes. So they have 4 minutes.
So it's
Tight for Canonist. Canonist needs 7 turns.
It's almost a question of
how fast do they play these 4 minutes? And can Max come up with
a Vanillion Click,
yeah,
and
Vanillion Click.
Angels or something.
Yeah, and Mike would happily walk away with the draw at this point. Playing at a good pace, though.
Yeah, they're keeping it moving. Oh, he's got a Force on top of his deck, too.
Yep. Draws the Force, attacks with the Canonist. And ships the turn. Cunning Wish. Red Blast.
Says no to that.
Yep, makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, Slaughter Pact out of the board there. Again, one nice thing about being a combo deck that just wins on the spot, you get to play those packs and not, you know, a lot of scenarios you're not ever having to worry about paying for them. You're not going to another turn.
Yep. Canonist gets in. Herbig down to 10.
5 more. Wow, look at that hand.
Land go.
Force, Counterspell, Flusterstorm.
Yeah. I cannot imagine Mike plowing through all that permission. He's got, I mean, because his counters do nothing.
Yeah.
Like his Flusterstorm is completely dead. If he can't get Canonist off the board,
his
then he
hand
can't
is
defend
basically
anything.
just a bunch of blanks.
Yeah. Defense grid isn't completely blank. I mean, Max has enough mana to pay 3 extra, since he only has to do 1 counter per turn.
Yeah, I mean, the issue is that with just the 1 show and tell, and Max has like 5 counter spells, and
yeah, he
a
just
bunch of
pays
them
for
are free
grid.
free or 1 mana.
Yeah, he just let defense grid resolve, which seems correct. Top. He's going to crack the fetch land.
So yeah, at this
I don't know, that burns like 30 seconds. I don't know if cracking fetch land is correct. And you're trying to, you got to get in a couple more attacks before time runs out, or you're going to draw.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I mean, the reshuffle is of some value, but... Oh, there's Entreat the Angels. And Jace? That'll
yeah,
speed the clock up.
he's probably just gonna win with Entreat the Angels here.
He's afraid to draw. I mean, he's afraid to have it be his 1 spell and then have Herbig do something, right?
Well, but he can do it, you know, end of turn.
Into Mike's turn. Yeah, that's the right time to do it. Right.
And I mean, if Mike has a counterspell, then so be it. But
that's the right time.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, if he doesn't, it's just the game's just over.
Well, it does cost 3 extra.
Yeah.
Defense grid costs him.
No, that's true.
He doesn't know he needs it. I mean, what it does is
not
speed the clock
doing
up, but okay. Herbig's down to 6. Now he only needs 3 attacks. As long as he says go before time's up, then he's... see, he now has enough extra turns to win with just the Canonist.
Yeah.
That should do it. Wow. Max Ansbro showed up with a sideboard that could replace all of the dead creature destruction spells with relevant permission. And that looks like that's going to get him to 7-1. And that looks like it's going to get him... He's going to show up to round 9 looking for a handshake. Mike Herbig's Omni-Tell deck... probably not going to get there.
No.
2 losses. Most people seem to think that's fatal. Maybe somebody sneaks in. Maybe not.
It's a sad day for the Ants.
I wanted to see them get released.
So close to the picnic.
Canonist chimes over for 2 more.
Yeah, Canonist just really doing his job,
Yeah, I mean,
or her job.
If Mike knew what was in Max's hand, they wouldn't even be going through the motions here. There's no way he can win through that much permission with Canonist in play.
No, I mean, normally I would look at that many counters and I would almost say it's too many, but for this matchup...
Well, look, who are you taking out all your creature removal spells? Like, you've got to have something to put in against a creatureless deck. Like, anytime you build your sideboard, imagine you're playing a deck with no creatures. You got to have relevant stuff to put in.
Sure.
If you have blue mana in your deck, permission is probably relevant to that matchup. All right, so now it sounds like we are now on turn 1 of extra time. Mike's turn is turn 1? Yeah. So Max is going to get exactly 2 turns, which is exactly what he needs to win the Canonist. Now Mike's trying to say, can he get a draw with, like, you know, the Rushing River out of the sideboard to bounce like a fog?
Where's my Spire Golem?
Yeah. But you know what? Max has more counters in his hand than there are turns remaining in the game.
Yeah, it's done.
He's looking at Dream Halls. He's looking at Show and Tell. I think he's going to choose Show and Tell. 6.
Overpaying for
Yeah,
Dream
he's
Halls.
overpaying for Dream Halls.
No.
Hardcast Force of Will. Oh, 5-mana
yeah.
counterspell. Right. 3 extra for defense grid, no problem. Yeah, props to Mike for playing quickly through those turns.
Yeah, agreed.
And this is definitely a match that a sketchy player might have tried to stall out and get a draw, but Max has him dead to rights, and Mike didn't really try to play clock there at all.
Looks like they gave him his island back that he overpaid for.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I did not think I really thought if anyone was going to win...
Yeah, you didn't think Max had time to win,
I
right?
did not.
He needed a 4-minute time extension.
Yeah.
But with 4, yeah, they basically... I think they had 10 minutes when this started. I think it was 6 or 7.
I mean, was that turn 2 he got that Canonist out? I mean, it's just been serving.
No, turn 2 he got counterbalance countered.
And then he went for the Canonist right after.
Yeah, I think it was
right?
I think it was turn 3 Canonist.
Yeah, it's been serving the
later,
business. Yeah, for
there's
10
the handshake.
turns. Wow.
Max Ansbro, 7-1. Gonna show up to the next one. Yeah, now the reveal.
Yeah.
Here's the still had all these.
Yeah, that was.
I don't know if I could have resisted the still had all these there either.